Hello, hello. Welcome to Press Play on Your Podcast, the 8-week group coaching program that is going to help you launch a quality and impactful podcast that you're excited and energized about, and it flows well with the rest of your business, and it's something that your community is excited about too. So I'm so happy you're here. We should know each other, we should know each other already, but just in case, I'm Emily. I'm a wife and mom of three littles. I'm from and live in Kansas. I am a health and fitness lover. I love coffee and I love podcasts. I've been an avid podcast listener for years. I started listening back in like 2015, 2016 timeframe, and that was pre-children before I became a mom. I was still kind of like earlier on in my marriage, working full time in my healthcare career. My background is actually as an MRI technologist. I went to radiology school. But yeah, over the years, podcasts have just been so transformative and so vital in my own life, honestly. And I'm just honored to get to work on podcasts now. I am a podcast launch strategist and manager. I've been in the podcasting space. I've been in the online business space for just over 4 years now. I started in 2020, just right before the pandemic happened, and I worked as a virtual assistant for a while. Kind of tried a lot of different things, and eventually, I had a client in like mid 2021. I had just had my second daughter, or my second child, my only daughter, and she was wanting to start a podcast, and I was like, I'm not quite sure how that will go, but I'm happy to like figure it out. We can work on it together. And as I dove more into it and learned more about podcasting, podcast management specifically, and just everything that you could do in that space, especially because at this time podcasts were definitely growing. Again, this was about 2.5 years ago at this time. And I was just like, I think this is something I really want to do. So anyway, fast forward over the last 2 years, I've supported multiple ambitious female business owners who have online businesses. A lot of them have been in the health and wellness space. Some of them have been like marketing backgrounds, um, coaches, therapists, just a variety. But all of them are they're doing big things, making big impacts in the world, and they really want to show up in podcasting and share their message in that way. And they want support in doing so. So like I said, I've loved getting to be in this space. I can't imagine doing anything else now, and I'm really excited to bring this group program to you to be able to help you launch your podcast. Like I said, something that you're excited about, and you're at the place in your business where it's time to launch your show, make your voice heard in this way. It makes sense for you, and like I said, your people, and obviously you want to reach your community who you already know, but of course reach other people through your podcast. It really can just connect and flow so well with the rest of your business. It's not like a completely separate thing. So anyway, I just want to welcome you to this group and just say thank you so much. I'm honored that you're here, allowing me to support you in this way. This group is going to be here in a private Facebook group. It will go for 8 weeks. And I was just looking at the calendar before I got on here, and that will take us until about June 16th, like time frame. So my goal for you is to have your podcast launched in that time by the end of our 8 weeks. If you still need a little bit of support, but definitely aiming for like June 2024 time frame, like I said, a couple months from now. It is very possible. I usually allow a 4 to 6 week time frame when I'm working with my clients one-on-one. And I want to add a little bit of time to this since, like I said, this is a little bit different a format. So anyway, I just want to talk a little bit about, and I'm just looking at my notes here. I want to talk a little bit about just kind of what to expect from this group, kind of the breakdown of the videos. I'll be sharing 1 or 2 videos each week. Some of the modules might have like a little more information. So I will probably break those up into a couple videos, again, just depending on that specific week and that specific module. But I'll be posting them every Monday in the Facebook group. I'll be dropping them there for you to check out. And we will just be checking in Facebook. Like I said, I will be there answering any and all questions. I'll be providing, links and any kind of, if they're like specific, like, you know, pictures or graphics or anything that need to PDFs, anything like that need to go along with information that will all be shared with the video when I post in the group. And really, I just want to have a check-in. I'll be reaching out to you directly as well. We'll probably either have a check-in in the group or I'll be reaching out to you directly. We'll kind of see how it goes. But obviously each week, just to see where you are and just make sure you are especially if I haven't heard from you, make sure that you aren't having any issues or anything like that. Especially I know like usually the initial part, getting some of the equipment and getting your environment, your space setup, which is what we're going to talk about today. I know some of that can be kind of a lot at first. And once you get that and you actually get to start recording your episodes, that is the fun stuff. That is the exciting stuff. And just getting to, like I said, actually start moving forward with sharing your message on your podcast. So I'm really excited, like I said, to have you here. So I just want to go over the videos a little bit, just kind of what you can expect. So this first video for week one, again, just want to welcome you, kind of share a little bit more about your environment and your equipment, just kind of some things, because I do want to make sure you get those ordered right away so you can go ahead and start recording your episodes here soon. So, that's not holding you up or anything. So I will be going over that here shortly. And then I also want to talk about 3 things that I think everyone should be very, very clear on, that you do need clarity on before you actually do move forward with launching your podcast, which are your purpose, your audience, and then your episode content, specifically for your launch, but also for a little bit like farther down the line. I don't want you to like go into launching your podcast and have like no idea what you're going to record. Honestly, I doubt that would be an issue anyway, but I want to make sure you're very clear on the first. For today, we're gonna say 10 episodes. I will give you a number, kind of what I normally recommend for my clients to launch with. But yeah, I'll get into that a little bit later. So anyway, so for this week, so this is week one. For next week, week two, I'm going to be sharing more about my favorite programs and tools that I use when I'm working on my client shows for editing and production, for recording your episodes and then doing the editing and production piece for your audio, project management, just so where you can have house like your weekly checklist, that kind of thing. Specifically for your podcast, if you decide you want to use it for something else outside of your podcast. I know some people do that as well if they find a project management tool they absolutely love. So yeah, I'll be recommending that, going through those tools in a lot more detail next week, specifically the editing piece, because that could be kind of a lot. And I'm going to cover like some of the main pieces that I do think are ideal, even if you're like, hey, I don't want to be spending a lot of time editing my podcast. I totally get that, especially if you're DIYing it, or, maybe you want to outsource eventually, but you aren't right now, which obviously that's why you're here. But I do want to make sure and cover that in great detail, because that is something that can kind of bog people down a little bit as well. So yeah, that will be week two. And then week three, we're going to talk more. If you are clear on like your show title, that's great. If not, if you need some ideas, support with that. Your show description, which is, again, some of these pieces are just one-time things that you will do just in the launch process. And then where to find music for your podcast, and cover art, which is like what shows up on Apple or Spotify or wherever. It's like the picture that people are seeing. It's a very small image, but it's also very, very important. And then also your host platform, which is where your podcast will be hosted, where you actually go to like upload and schedule your episodes every week. So that information will be in week three. Week four, we're going to talk more about your show intro and outro for your podcast. And that's usually with the music, and that's going to be what people find when they or listen to when they find your show. Like I said, whatever podcast app that they're listening on, that is going to be evergreen, or consistent, whatever word you want to use. That's going to be your show intro is going to be at the beginning of your episode, and your outro is going to be at the ending of your episode. And again, that's just very important, I think, to have those there. So we will talk more about that, just kind of the verbiage and like kind of great things to say, call to actions, that kind of thing. And then a trailer, which I also like to call episode 0. I always like launching my client shows with a trailer. And again, I will be sharing just best practices for that, just more details and that kind of thing. And then also uploading your podcast information to your host platform, because again, the week previously you should have chosen your host platform, which again, I'll be sharing recommendations for all of that. And then that's where you'll kind of like choose like your podcast categories. That's where you'll upload your show title, your description, cover art, all that good stuff. Again, just more of just kind of like your podcast information, basically. Yeah, so that will be week 4. And then week 5, we're going to be talking more about show notes, actually like making your podcast searchable, talking more about SEO, standard engine optimization. That is a mouthful. And just the importance of writing a quality episode description and show notes. A lot of people use those terms interchangeably, which again, I will be going into way more details in module 5 a few weeks from now. But really just best practices that I do for my clients. I love writing. This one of my favorite pieces. I write for multiple clients a week, and I feel like I do a great job, with getting their voice and just bringing in that, their keyword and their title, and then throughout their episode. Because again, over time, podcasting is a long-term game. That is something, again, we'll be talking about in a little bit. But you do want to go into it with that mindset. And it is important to, like I said, over time, you may not have so many like a ton of people finding your episodes and your show right away, people that you aren't connected with at all. But over time, that SEO piece really comes into play. And so it is important to, like I said, really be, and again, you don't have to be like an expert writer or anything, but like I said, writing quality show notes, taking time to really think about your titles and what you're wanting to talk about in your episode. And like I said, that kind of thing. So that will be a whole module in itself. And then week 6, this will be where we're actually talking about how to submit your show to the platforms like Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. There's several smaller ones as well. Apple and Spotify are the big players. YouTube has actually come into play more. You can actually submit to YouTube Music, and that's kind of a newer thing I have just recently learned about myself. Just when this is going live this spring. There used to be Google Podcasts, and that's not a thing anymore. It's YouTube Music. So anyway, we'll just be going through that process just as far as making sure your show is submitted correctly, so there aren't any issues when we do pick a date for your show to be live. You want to make sure your show is showing up on those platforms and there aren't any issues or anything. And then week 7, just I'm going to be sharing more like best launch practices, just kind of some things you can share like to get people excited, let them know that you are launching a podcast, that you have a podcast coming out that they can be ready for. So just going to share more of some of those best practices and things you can do in detail. And then week 8, it's kind of like a bonus week, I like to think, but like very important as well. And that's going to be repurposing content from your podcast. So obviously it can be quite a bit of work to obviously get your podcast set up, get it launched, and record your episodes week after week or bi-weekly, depending on how often you're releasing episodes. But you really have so much you can pull from each podcast episode that you can share in other places, depending on where you like to show up, where your people are, where it makes sense, that you connect with your ideal client and customer. So yeah, there's a lot you can do as far as like with social media and your email list, YouTube, Pinterest. Like I said, there's a lot that you can do. Like I said, just depends on where you are. And of course, sharing with your community, like your in-person people, like your family and friends. There's a lot you can do. So like I said, as far as repurposing content from your podcast. So that is kind of what we are going to be covering today. Like I said, I am looking at my notes, so just make sure I don't miss anything. So I do want to get into your environment and your equipment for this next step. So your environment is really, honestly, I think it is honestly more important than your equipment. Obviously, your equipment is important because you honestly don't have to have a ton of things to record a podcast episode and to share your podcast. Of course, like I said, there are some important things you want to have, but I do want to start with environment because I think sometimes people get wrapped up in like, oh my gosh, what kind of microphone do I need? What kind of equipment do I need? Do I need to like get a new computer, all that kind of stuff. But honestly, your environment is really, really key. And that's something that I find that a lot of people don't always know. It seems like when I'm working with or talking with potential clients and then working with clients, they're like, do I have to record in my closet? Like, what if I'm doing interview episodes and that kind of thing? So no, first of all, you don't have to record in your closet. If you do want to, especially if you're primarily wanting to do solo episodes, you totally can. But really, like I said, you don't have to though. Something you want to do. So like where I am right now, I am actually in my bedroom here, and this would be an ideal space for me to record. And I'm sitting at my desk. This would be an ideal space for me to record my podcast episodes because there is a lot of furniture in the room. There is carpeting. I have carpet in here. I'm not sitting right next to a window. Basically, you want to be in a room that is not like a huge open room with like hardwood floors or like hard floors, big high ceilings. You don't want to sit next to a window, somewhere where like it can pick up like outside noise, like traffic noise. I've dealt with that on I've had clients where we've had to like, I'm like, oh, there's too much stuff coming in. I've had clients where there was like it was picking up like the air conditioning unit, like the AC. And so we just kind of have to reevaluate. And it's totally okay if you're not quite sure. You can always like practice recording yourself and then like listen back. But honestly, just some of those key things right there is just what to focus on for your environment. So that kind of like sets you up from the beginning. So like I said, focus on like a smaller space, like I said, a bedroom, office. I would stay away from your kitchen if possible, just because depending on the flooring in your kitchen, a lot of times, there are windows and like, doors close by, that kind of thing. So like I said, I would aim for a room where you can close the door if possible. So like I said, a bedroom or office or wherever. Like I said, if you do want to do your closet, especially if you're not doing any kind of video component or anything, if you're just wanting to do the audio, which is totally fine. You can always aim for a closet. Is like I said, especially if you do have carpet in there. There are some definitely like I have a walk-in closet. So honestly, I could probably sit on the floor and do that. But yeah, those are just some tips as far as the environment goes. And like I said, any questions that you have as you're like kind of getting your space set up and that kind of thing, definitely let me know. Again, like I said, I want the group to be a place where you can ask questions and like definitely like troubleshoot, like, hey, I'm recording here, but I'm not quite sure if this sounds good, or like, do you think this is a good place to record? Definitely ask those questions. I'm happy to answer those. And then as far as, so like I said, that's kind of the environment aspect. And then your equipment. So like I said, you have your computer. So like for me, I have a MacBook Pro. So whatever kind of computer, if it's a laptop or desktop or whatever, obviously just want to make sure your computer is good, working well. And then microphones and headphones. I do recommend having an external microphone and some type of external headphones if possible. Like right now, I am just using my like wired earbuds, and I do have AirPods as well. I have had a couple clients who have used like AirPods or earbuds, and those can be okay, but the issue you run into there, especially if they're wireless, like AirPods or earbuds or whatever, if there's an issue with like the internet connection, on your end, or even on like if you're doing an interview episode, that could be an issue. So more times than not, and unless you're like traveling a lot or something and like you just don't want to like worry about bulky headphones. I have had someone in the past who was like, I really don't want to buy external headphones, and she just was using something like this. I'm like, all right, that's fine. Like we'll definitely go with it. I'm always like, hey, let's definitely like test it out. And again, like I said, your environment, I think it is even more important than the equipment. But if possible, I do recommend having an external microphone and some external headphones, over the ear headphones, I guess I should say. So as far as, and I also again wanted to say, I probably said this at the beginning, but just in case, I will be sharing links for these, for like my equipment recommendations, that kind of thing. I will definitely post all of those with the video when I drop this. So as far as microphones, there are two different kinds. There's condenser and then there's dynamic. So you might have heard of like the Blue Yeti microphone. That's a really well-known one. That is a condenser microphone. And it's definitely not bad. I know for sure right now I have a couple clients that use it. It is really sensitive to like background noise, any kind of outside noise. So you have to be even more mindful of your environment and space, which like I said, you want to be anyway. But I feel like when you're using that kind of microphone, the condenser one, like I said, which is a Blue Yeti, you do have to be even more so. So like I said, it's definitely not a bad microphone. I know a lot of people use them and love those, but you really just have to be aware of that factor. Um, so if I was going to recommend, like I said, definitely the Blue Yeti is fine, but I think dynamic honestly is probably the way I would go these days. Um, Dynamic is not going to pick up like as much outside noise. It's going to be really just right, like whatever is right in front of it, which is you and talking, which again, we can, if you have questions about like your setup, like, you know, if it's like kind of like right in front of you or to an angle or anything, again, we can talk about that as well. But there are a couple of kinds I recommend. There's one called Audio Technica 2100X, which like I said, I'll be dropping links for all of these. And then the Samson QU2. Like I said, those are both specifically dynamic microphones. Um, yes, dynamic microphones. And like I said, basically you will be plugging that into your computer, and then your headphones will plug into your microphone. So again, normally like the initial setup, I know can be just kind of a little tricky for some people. So like I said, as you're working through this, definitely let me know, drop any pictures in the group, anything like that, and we can talk about that. As far as that. But yeah, like I said, those are some great recommendations for microphones. Of course, you can get some that are like, there of course are other kinds as well. And if you do find any that you're like, hey, this looks like something I would like, or maybe if you already do have some, definitely let me know and we can talk about that and see like, again, feel free to share any pictures. Like I said, any questions or anything, drop them in the group. And like I said, definitely practice recording. Just like once you get things set up and just see how it goes, see if they feel like comfortable on your head, specifically with your headphones or like the microphone. Like I said, if you already have some equipment, that's great. We can definitely talk about that and evaluate it. And if not, like I said, these are just some recommendations to go ahead and get a couple things. And then as far as headphones go, like I said, I do recommend, again, kind of similar to the microphone, Audio Technica M30X. Again, they are over the ear wired headphones. Something else that has come up is, again, kind of like with earbuds and stuff, of course, there are wireless, like over the ear headphones as well. Again, you just have to be careful with, like I said, just your connection, depending on what kind of like program you're recording on. But again, a lot of this is like, using the internet connection. So you do need to be mindful of that. So again, I do recommend having some kind of external microphone and some kind of wired over the ear headphones. Like I said, you could use these, but again, not my recommendation. So like I said, there's really just a few things just the beginning. Like if you can get some quality pieces that, you feel good about, that you're excited, you're like, okay, these feel good. I got my environment set up and my equipment, everything. Then you're good to go. And that it's like I said, really just like one-time things. Eventually, you might want to upgrade and replace things, which is great. But initially, like I said, there really isn't too much. So that is as far as like the environment and equipment pieces go. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to talk about. If you do want to utilize like a video component, whether you're doing just solo episodes or if you're doing interview episodes, um, and then you're wanting to share like on social media, like do reels on Instagram, do like YouTube shorts, YouTube clips, anything like that. You can use just like your webcam computer here, not always the best quality. Like I'm recording in Zoom right now. There are some other programs as well, which again, we'll be talking about more next week. Um, or you can use your phone. You can put your phone to the side and use, bring up like the external camera on that. There's definitely different, or you can even get like a separate external webcam. Kind of depends on like how like in depth you're wanting to go with that. And just kind of like I said, what all you are wanting to share and repurpose and that kind of thing from the podcast. Like I said, I think it's a great thing to utilize because, like I said, there's so much you can do with your audio from your podcast. But like I said, if you're not as worried about the video component, which I would say it's definitely not something you need to worry about from the beginning. I know a lot of people are like, video podcasts are becoming more of a thing because, like I said, YouTube is kind of taking over in more areas. But like I said, when you're just starting out, like I'm an audio girl all the way. I rarely watch videos. Like I'm not a YouTube person, but I know it is smart to like utilize that platform for sure eventually, if not at the beginning. So again, just kind of evaluate, like really think about what makes sense for you right now with your podcast and kind of what you want to do. So, but yeah, like I said, environment and then your equipment, your microphones and headphones, and of course your computer. So that is the main stuff with that. So like I said, definitely let me know any questions. And then for the remainder of this video, I really want to talk about the three things that I just want to make sure you're super clear on, since you are moving forward with the launch of your podcast, which like I said, again, I just want to congratulate you and cheer you on. I'm a former cheerleader. I cheered all through high school, and I feel like that's just kind of me. Just my personality. I love cheering others on. I want to see others win. And especially since being in the podcasting space and just in the online business space anyway, um, I'm just so excited when I hear that, someone is wanting to take this next step in their business. And like I said, I know just like, again, how powerful and impactful podcasts can be. So as far as the first thing I want to talk about of the three things is your purpose. And I feel like, we always hear about like, what's your why? What's your, like, why are you doing, XYZ? But it is really, really important. You definitely need to be very clear on why you are starting your podcast. Like, why is this the right time for you to add it to your business? Again, you want to make sure you are established in business and you have, I share about this often, but you have solid offers in place. Like, how you are able to support your ideal client customer. Again, whether you have like courses, programs, products, whatever your services are, whatever your offerings are. Again, you want to make sure you are established and that they know when they do find you in your podcast, that they know how they can connect with you outside of your podcast. That is huge. Like I said, that's why, again, starting your podcast, you want to really make sure that um, you can build that relationship outside of your show because like obviously they get to know you through your podcast week after week, which is so wonderful. But again, you want to be able to build a relationship with them outside of that. Like I said, whether that's on social media or your email list, or if it's someone in person, however that may be. So really take some time to, and honestly, I recommend writing it out if you're a person that likes to write out. If not, take some notes, how, in your phone, whatever works for you. But really, like, what is your purpose for your podcast? Like I said, make sure like it is the right time. And honestly, I want to encourage you to think of some goals for the next 6 weeks. I'd say once your show is launched, of course, and then 6 months, and then a year from now. Just kind of like I said, just in maybe up to like 5 years even. Just kind of what are you wanting to gain from your podcast? Again, what are you wanting to obviously you're wanting to serve your people with it. You're wanting to connect with more of your people, but obviously some of that is a little different for each person when they're starting their podcast. So really get clear on that. Um, so yeah, that is kind of the biggest thing. And also as far as like with your, actually, no, just kidding. I'm going to go to on the next part or one of the next parts. Okay, so the first thing is your purpose, your why and your vision for your podcast. The second thing is your audience, your community, your listeners. You want to be very, very clear on who your ideal client and customer is in your audience. Like I said, who you're going to be reaching with your show. You definitely want to like picture them, like their season of life, what they have going on. Are they moms? Are they Are they in business? Are they career women? Are they travelers? Are they like health and fitness junkies? Like what is their, do they struggle with their health? Again, what are they struggling with? Like what are they coming to your show for? Like what are they coming to you? Like, obviously you want them to be able to see you as like the expert and go-to person in your space, so they can find your show. And again, you can build that relationship with them outside of your show. Wherever you connect with your audience right now, like I said, whether it's on social media, like if you have, if it's just like on your regular social media platforms, if you have like a private Facebook community, if you have like your email list, if you do blogs, like I said, any kind of video content, however you're connecting with your audience. Is this something like they're asking you for? Like a lot of times I'll have clients say like, yeah, I've had people ask me for a while, like, why don't you have a podcast? Or when are you going to start your podcast? And obviously you don't have to be hearing things like that from, your ideal people. But if they are bringing that to your attention and it's something again that you've been wanting to do, like that is incredible. That's really exciting. So yeah, just really take some time to think about that. Like I said, you should be with where you are, you're established in business, you know how you're serving them, but who actually is that person? Like I said, what season of life are they in? What, pain points do they have? What problems, what struggles are they experiencing? And how can you and your podcast help them really? What kind of benefits are they going to gain from your show? And like I said, again, having places outside of your podcast to continue growing and nurturing that relationship is a huge thing too. And then the third thing is your episode content, like actually your episodes for your launch and then beyond as well. So I definitely recommend to my clients, normally when I'm working with someone to launch their show, we do a trailer, which like I said earlier, like episode 0. It's really just like a little snippet, like a preview of your show. Like if you think of like a movie trailer, like a movie that's coming out and you can watch the trailer, that's what it is for your podcast. And again, I'll go into more specifics in a couple weeks, in like a couple weeks, about 2 or 3 weeks, about the trailer. But yeah, so we do a trailer and then 3 launch episodes. I definitely recommend having for sure more than one. Like I said, 3 is what I normally like to have, just because when you do have your show launch, especially if you've been sharing about it, people know it's coming. The day of your launch is super exciting, and people, when they are going to listen to your show, they have more than one episode to listen to. Like they actually have some episodes to binge, which is what you want. And it's just more for them to share about on their social media, share with their network, share with other people. So yeah, definitely take some time. And again, I recommend writing these out, or like I said, take, the notes in your phone, again, whatever works for you. Definitely take some time to think of for sure what you want your initial episodes to be. I always recommend your episode 1 should be just really like kind of an introduction to you and kind of your story, your background, like why you are here. You can go into a little bit of that on the trailer, but the trailer is going to be like a very like, it's kind of more of just like a little snippet, like I said, preview of your show. And it's going to be just kind of like welcoming them and kind of a little bit of what they can expect. Where that episode 1, it's an actual like episode. So you can actually go into more depth, kind of like where you are, again, whatever your business is, how you help your community and all of that. Definitely, like I said, that's my recommend for episode 1, is sharing more of your intro, like I said, your story, your background. That's what people, I know for me, whenever I go to listen to, if I find a new podcast, I don't always scroll back to the very beginning, but especially if they don't have very many episodes, even if they don't, but either way, I like to kind of scroll back all the way and like kind of find like, hey, do they have like an about me episode, like kind of a story, like why they're here, why they're doing the work that they do, that kind of thing. So just think about that. That's at least for episode 1. And then depending on, like I said, what your specific business is in, what your podcast is going to be about, then you can think about like your episodes 2 and 3. And again, I'm definitely happy to talk with you about that. As far as like I said, if you have any like, with brainstorming, that kind of thing, if you're kind of stuck, or I find that most people usually are pretty clear on like the first few episodes they want to do, especially those first 3, especially once we start talking through things. But again, if you're feeling kind of stuck and need any support, I'm definitely happy to talk with you about that. And then once you have your first 3, I definitely would aim to get to at least 10. And I don't know like the statistic or anything right now, but I know I don't know, and obviously stats are always changing, but I know there's, a lot of people don't make it past like episode 7, I believe is what I've heard, like when they're DIYing and that kind of thing. So yeah, I definitely want you to get way past episode 7 and beyond. But definitely take some time to write down some episode topic ideas, and you don't have to actually obviously record those just yet. Obviously you want to wait till you get your equipment, environment, everything set up and your recording program. But definitely take some time to write out those episode topic ideas. And if you can come up with more than 10, like if you come up with 20, 30, 50, however many, like that's awesome. And definitely keep those somewhere where you can refer back to them because like I said, that could be something that kind of holds a lot of people, a lot of podcasters up, like I said, especially when you're DIYing it. Um, they think they're gonna like run out of things to say. And I promise you will not. Like I said, there's always gonna be things you're hearing from people, when you're working with clients, however you're supporting them, you're hearing things on social media or seeing things on social media, whatever. There's definitely you're not going to run out of things. So definitely take some time though to come up with your first 3 launch episodes for sure, and then at least 10, and then we can go from there. And like I said, if you're stuck or anything, definitely reach out and let me know. I believe that is everything for this first video. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. Like I said, I know I kind of talked about kind of what we're going to be doing as far as like all of the modules, what's going to be covered each week. Like I said, everything's going to be in this Facebook group. So, like I said, any and all questions you have, please ask them here, because that's what I'm here for. I want to support you with, I know, like I said, I'm not actually doing the work on your show, but I definitely want to, obviously, I'm sharing all the best practices and tools and just all of that goes into podcasting, because there is a lot of behind the scenes that people don't always realize. It honestly doesn't have to be a lot. It definitely doesn't need to be overcomplicated, but I do want you to be set up for success from the beginning. So you are excited about podcasting. You go into your show, energized and lit up about your show. And that is going to come through when people are listening. Podcasts are just such a it's such an intimate experience anyway because you're listening to someone's voice, and I feel like you just can't get that from like a social media post, or like even necessarily like an email and that kind of thing. They're all great, like they're all needed, of course, the different ways that we connect with our people, but podcasting is just such an incredible space to be in. And again, I just want to say I'm so proud of you for um taking the time moving forward with your show, because I know that is scary enough in itself. And I just want to make sure that you do know that, your voice matters, your message matters, all of your stories and experiences and expertise, all of it matters, and it is going to resonate with your people. And I'm just so excited you're here. And like I said, if you have any other questions or anything about this first week as you're working on things, like I said, getting your equipment ordered, your environment and space set up, um, you know, really getting clear on your purpose, your episodes, and all of that, definitely drop any and all questions. And I will be checking in with you very soon. And like I said, thank you so much for being here. And I'm just really excited to be with you and support you with the behind the scenes of your podcast and just bringing a quality and impactful show to life this summer, which is so exciting over the next, at least at this time, it will be summertime soon. So thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon.